Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to another podcast. Please like and comment on our channel so that my energy increases. Let's go to today's podcast. For the stories I want to tell, let's go to our podcast. One day, a family lived together. Their father spent all his life on drugs. This father's name was Yusuf. He had 3 children and a wife. These 3 children had one named Mabina, who was the eldest child, and then they had a son named Abulfazl and a younger daughter named Matina. This family lived a good life together because Yusuf's father had found a job for Yusuf in a pharmacy and he had a good income. But Yusuf was always looking for drugs. He made drugs and sold them for several years. One of Yusuf's friends kept telling him to leave this job to Yusuf because I was doing the same thing and it was not worth it at all. But Yusuf didn't listen to anyone. For several years, he bought a $500 Benz S car with this job, and his wife and children lived in poverty. Every time they went to Yusuf's house, everyone was because life was they were having a party with a classmate. With this, Yusuf rented a house for himself and his family, but it wasn't a very good house because their neighbor on the first floor was a drug dealer, and Yusuf himself lived on the 3rd floor, the last floor. Yusuf's mother's house was also very close to their house. Every day, Yusuf was at his mother's house with his wife and children. Every day, Yusuf would prepare drugs in front of everyone to sell and mix them until the police were looking for Yusuf. Yusuf would always disappear so that no one would see him. He wouldn't even go home for a few days so that the police couldn't catch him in his house. For several months, Yusuf was being pursued until one day, when Yusuf was at his mother's house, they came to arrest him. But Yusuf hid in his mother's bathroom so that the police wouldn't see him. One day, the police had hidden themselves. Yusuf left the house and they arrested him, but Yusuf's sister was also a skilled worker and poured the drugs into the well so that the police wouldn't be able to find the drugs. Yusuf's wife, Somaya, who had always cooperated with Yusuf, was sentenced to life in prison. Yusuf also gave drugs to his inmates in prison, and that's why they said he didn't deserve to be released. This man did the same thing in prison. He did these things in prison and earned money for his family through this. The days went by like this, but Yusuf was told that he had to attend the meetings there to get out of life imprisonment. Yusuf's wife, Yusuf's child, but they lived a very quiet life and wore the same style of clothes every day. And their cousin kept asking her mother where the money was coming from. They bring them clothes so that they wear the same style every day because our father is a hairdresser, so we don't spend that much. But they are much more advanced than us, and they spend money. Then this money comes from selling the ingredients that Yusuf made and from the money that the government gave them. For poor families, their lives were better than the rest of the family, but Yusuf's family had nothing to do with Yusuf and were only looking out for themselves. Yusuf's eldest daughter came to marry him. He was a short boy who was rich, but Yusuf's daughter was of average height and was not happy with this proposal because he was shorter than Yusuf's daughter. However, after Yusuf's eldest daughter was satisfied, a tall suitor was found, and he was also somewhat happy because he was penniless. He did not accept it. Another boy came who was the same height as her and then he had good money and a palace. He married him. The day after the proposal, the groom had bedwetting, and the newlywed had to wash the groom's pants. And the groom did this every day and he was not able to do it himself until he went to the doctor. To treat it, the doctor gave him some pills to take. Maybe it would make a difference, but he still had bedwetting and it didn't make a difference. Then the bride herself burned the groom's foot with fire so that he wouldn't go to the bathroom again. His brother, who was a West kid, didn't go to work and had no money. He only had a motorbike and 230 rings, which he sold to buy himself a house. And then he rented out that house so that he could buy himself a house with that money. He rented it out until he became the richest man in the world, and that son-in-law became his son-in-law and married a penniless woman named Fariba. Well, Abolfazl married her because of her cleanliness. After Fariba got married, she had a very good life and they had a good life together until they were able to give birth to a daughter. Then Fariba named her Maryam. Because of the flower name, Fariba took great care of Maryam from the very beginning. After a few years, they raised Maryam, but a year later Maryam died. Abolfazl and Fariba were very sad in life because their daughter had died. Then, because of that, they went to a nursing home to get a daughter for themselves. But it wasn't a daughter, but a chubby boy. They took him in because of his beauty and raised him for themselves. When he was 10 years old, they bought him a house. Then, they spent a little money on him every month until he was 18. He saved a lot of money because they spent money on him every month. Then, they took the card. They gave it to their son and told him to go be himself and live his life. Then it was the turn of a little girl named Matina. At the same time as his daughter got married, Yusuf was released from prison. After some questioning, he realized that this boy was not good for Matina and could not make Matina's life better. Matina asked why he was not a good person. Yusuf said, "I asked him, and everyone said that he was not a very good person and could not love your daughter." "Hey," Matina said, "maybe they will not like it, and I cannot count on what people say. I listen to what my heart says." But her father said, "No, I will not allow it." But her father said, "I won't let you marry that man. You have to stay with me." But the girl refused and went to the man and stayed there for a few days. Her parents also died because their daughter was not there. Then the girl married that man, but couldn't make a good life for Matina. Matina got pregnant after a few months and was able to give birth to the child. But after a few months, they found out that Matina's husband was wrong. But Matina said to herself, "I have no choice because I have a child and I can't divorce him because he got her husband out of this mess." She went to the police and said, "My husband is wrong. Come into the house and take him away." They went to his house and threw him in prison, where he stayed for several years, and then he became a man. But when he came out, he started smoking again to destroy himself. After that, Matina married again, this time to a man who was very wealthy, meaning he had a lot of money and a great life. Then they went and lived together, but he had a very good life because he was surrounded by money. Then God gave them another daughter, but this time, this child of his was disabled and they took him to many doctors to cure him, but they all failed. But he had a good feeling about this child. After 10 years, they took him abroad to have the doctors there cure him. They took him to several doctors, and the last one was Professor Semia, who was able to cure him, but he couldn't walk well like other people, but at least he could do his personal chores well.